Talk time. Today's talk time, faith. Now, I just did a video about religion, and I said they're separate from faith, so I have to talk about faith. First, I need to define what I consider faith. Faith is belief in something greater than the physical world that we can perceive with the normal five senses: taste, touch, smell, hearing, sight. Got them all? Yeah. Some people say, oh, there's a sixth sense, and then of course they had that movie, The Sixth Sense. There is another sense that we do have, but it's not a recognized sense. It's that, ever get the creepy, crawly feeling up your back? Ever look behind you, you knew somebody was looking at you? That sort of sense about us, where we have an extra perception, not ESP, but an extra sense about us that we can perceive things that are beyond us. Deja vu is a great example. I don't want to go off onto too many tangents about this sort of thing, but this other sense that we have, but that's not recognized as one of the five senses. Okay. Faith is belief that there's something beyond these five senses. That there's something that we can't see, we can't taste, we can't touch, we can't feel, we can't hear, but is real, nonetheless. Something that perhaps we can't even study using instruments that we invent. Something that's so far beyond the physical realm that we can never grasp it as long as we're a physical entity. We would have to become a spiritual entity. Now, we have a spirit within us, we have a soul within us, and those two things, I think, are one and the same, but also different names for something. They're separate as well. And that's gonna get a little bit complicated, but I'll deal with that in a little bit. I want to focus on, in fact, I think I'll make my next talk time about the separation that I think is between spiritualness or spirit and soul. Okay, but right now I'm going to focus on faith. So faith to me is belief that there's something beyond the physical. So if you, and this is where we get divided and we get misunderstood, is if you can conceive only the physical world around you, and you look at what you see and you say, this is all there is, you're done. You have that's it, you're done. You might as well stop watching my video. You might as well go do something else, because you will not understand faith. Faith is belief that there's something beyond what's around us. Beyond what we can see, beyond what we can hear, feel, taste, touch, and so on and so on. So, that is what I think faith is. That is what I believe faith is. And approaching it as such, I have heard it said that faith is a silly notion. It's belief that it's a fabricated belief. It's belief without any reason behind it. It's an illogical thing to do. There's a group of people in New York that believe that the world is flat. They have a faith that the world is flat. You could take them on an airplane around the world. You could take them in a ship and go around the world. You could take them into a rocket ship and fly them around the world, and they would still probably believe that the world is flat. I would think that at some point that they would cease to believe that, because they would see how incorrect they are. But I think if it was a true, real belief, they would continue to believe it regardless of what evidence you show them to the contrary. That is not faith that I'm talking about. That is faith that is foolish faith. It's belief in something that is foolishness. They believe in the world being flat, and more power to them, but it's nothing more than a weak cult at best. It's not a true cult because, as I mentioned briefly, if you invest your entire essence, everything is consumed by a religion, that's a cult, not a religion. Okay? Same is true about faith. Faith can consume you. It can consume you. And it can do so in a very powerful way, but it can do so in a very destructive way if it's not well informed. These people are obviously not very well informed about the reality around them. They just arbitrarily have chosen to believe this thing. So we often get back to the evidence. Where is evidence of faith? Or where is evidence of, when we're speaking of faith, we're usually talking about God or the spiritual world. So where's the evidence of that? Well, you might as well stop watching the video, go outside, go do whatever you need to do, because you've missed the point again. You don't have evidence. You can't have evidence, but that doesn't mean you can't have a well-informed decision to have or not have faith. These people, as I was saying, if they flew around the world in a plane, they would have to question their faith and say, hey, maybe we're wrong here. Maybe there's something to this world being round business that we didn't think about. When I think about God, and when I think about the spiritual world and the spiritualness of myself, I am confronted with an amazing amount of evidence through my own personal experiences, as well as experiences that others have had and shared with me, that they have no reason to lie about. They have nothing to gain from sharing those experiences, both positive ones and negative ones. I've had people tell me about demonic experiences. I've had people tell me about angelic experiences. I've had people talk to me about encounters with God in a very loose sense. One person I talked to believed that God communicated verbally with them, which I thought was incorrect, because that's not how God communicates. At least not how I understand Him to communicate to me. It'd be nice, but that's just not how it works. I don't know why it works that way, but that's just how it is. My faith is born from an understanding of my own psychology in relation to God. That is to say, I had a very unique experience when I was young, and I made a very specific prayer that got answered in such a way that I could not perceive it to be anything more than God proving that my prayer was answered. Now, I could go more into that, and I have a video that explains why I believe more in detail, but I've made it private. But if you're one of my friends and you want to know more about that, I'll invite you to watch it. The reason why it's private and not public like this one is because it's very personal to me, and it's a very personal experience. This is more of a broad what I think faith is and what it means to have faith in general. You can have a very informed, intelligent opinion, a very intellectual approach, but ultimately you will run out of evidence, and you will have to just you have to make a leap of faith, and you'll just have to either have faith or not have faith. That having faith can be accomplished. In other words, you can get to the conclusion that having faith is a good thing through intellectual processes. So it can be a very informed decision. It can also be a completely blind leap of faith, and there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, as long as you learn what that faith is and seek out God and try to understand Him more. Otherwise, you have a very weak faith that will fall apart. Until next time, peace out.